Let's bring in some reaction. We're joined now by Vally Padayachee, who's a power and energy expert and a former executive manager of Eskom, as well as a former senior executive of City Power Johannesburg. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. What would you say are some of the contributing factors to this outcome? 21 days without load shedding.
Good evening, report to you and the viewers, and thank you for inviting me. Let me just preface my response to that question, because I think it's a very, very important question, and I'll give you a response to that. But let me say that from the letter today and from your intro, it is indeed gratifying to know that we were 21 days, which equates to about 535 hours of no load shedding, and this must be commendable, and hopefully it is sustainable. And I think the collective good work by Eskom Generation, the NEARCOM, the Electricity Ministry, and other stakeholders, including the private sector and customers, must be recognized. And some of the key aspects that contributed to this is obviously the sustained generation of the Eskom fleet to a certain extent, adequate emergency reserves, and I'll come back to that, the reduced electricity demand. We are in a very low demand situation. My cause for concern is we're going into winter, which will increase demand, and of course the returning of units at Kusile and Medupi. But just to illustrate the point, I think the emergency reserve vis-a-vis the pump storage and the usage of open cycle gas turbines with increased diesel cost, I think that the OCGTs are being pushed quite hard so that we can sustain the load shedding for the last 21 days.
You say that you hope that it will be sustainable. And I suppose the big question is, how long can Eskom keep the current streak going? Because there is a reality on the ground on what are some of the reasons why we have load shedding to begin with.
Yes, let me get back, because I think you asked the question in the beginning. And let me give you a response as a professional and as a experienced generation engineer. There are a number of risk factors which makes me to make the comment that I can't give you. In fact, even if I use my NRS chairmanship at a guarantee that this sustained non-load shedding may continue. Now, why do I say that info? Now, it's common knowledge that the national electricity grid, notwithstanding the current performance, is still ostensibly erratic and unstable. And what do I also mean by that? Because we load shed, we don't load shed, we load shed again, so that's erratic. But in terms of some of the challenges which may come back to bite us and cause us to go back into higher stages of load shedding, let alone not load shedding as well, is that we cannot get away, and this is unfortunate, that the energy availability factor is still low at a plus or minus 52%, maybe slightly more than that. And we still need to get to 65, 70% to be out of the woods. So that's the key risk factor, and that's why I say the grid is still at a knife edge. Eskom also does not have sufficient or enough headroom to do proper planned maintenance. Now, what do I mean by that very quickly? Is that any proper functioning national grid, generally, globally, has about 10 to 15% of reserve margin. In other words, additional capacity more than the demand, let alone the maximum demand. Eskom doesn't have that now. They don't have that luxury. So whatever breakdowns they have on the grid, national grid, I call it the bumps on the grid, and we have big units in South Africa, 600 megawatts, 800 megawatts, the customer sees it. Now, the Eskom has been doing enough planned maintenance. And to do proper planned maintenance, you need that reserve margin to create a bit of cushion. They don't have that. So that's the other factor. My other concern, to do planned maintenance, is that I'm not sure that, because the contractors, and also give them a bit of latitude, are also under pressure to return units back to the system operator. So they could be cutting corners because they're humans. So I'm not sure that we could be returning some of the units back into service that may be worse off than the currently we're taking off. So that's the other one. And also, we are probably going into a cold winter. We are now, the demand is about 28 gigs. We may go up to 32 gigs. That's another 4,000 megawatts. And with the risk factors I mentioned to you, low EAF, etc., I'm not sure that there will be a need to load shed. I think there may be a need to load shed because to meet that demand, there may not be enough capacity import.
All of this, I mean, the good news welcomed for sure, but they come on the back of South Africans recently raising their eyebrows over the possibility of stage 16 load shedding, and industry experts calling for guidelines, even though it's been said that it's unlikely. And of course, one's got to question the timing. Skeptics are saying that perhaps, what if it's an ANC smokescreen right ahead of the May 29 elections?
No, I can give you that guarantee because I am the chairman of the NRS Association, the organization that went to great pains to develop that Code of Practice Edition 3 in collaboration with NERSA and the other bodies. I can tell you, as a professional, we've went through extreme lengths in developing Edition 3, and I want to give the public that comfort now, that with Edition 3, which is a tool, it's a significant tool that assists the system operations and the Munich control centers, the good people that work there, the operators, in decreasing the human error if we went beyond stage 8, which was only for Edition 2. With Edition 3, we took the entire load of the country, and we equated that to about stage 16, the unlikely event. So what I'm going to be saying, as somebody has been in the inside of developing that standard, I don't believe that, in other words, I can't guarantee you that we will not go beyond stage 6, let alone beyond stage 8, but I don't think we'll go beyond stage 9 or 10, but not to stage 16. And I want to give the comfort that even with the cold winter and with the current risks that we're sitting with, that South Africa will not go into a total blackout or a total grid collapse anytime soon, unless, of course, you have any catastrophic failures on the grid. But with the good work that's been done by the stakeholders I mentioned to you at the beginning of the interview, I don't believe we'll get into any catastrophic failures because we have excellent people working in system operations import.
Very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for weighing in on this discussion. Vally Padayachee, who's a power and energy expert, as well as a former executive manager of Eskom and a former senior executive of City Power Johannesburg. 21 days load shedding free in South Africa, giving us some reaction there.